Welcome, welcome, welcome. You listen to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Now, I know everybody was really depressed last week because I wasn't here and I actually had to appear by telephone. So for all those people, you can cry out now. But for those people who have never, ever listened to the Ask Brien radio show, and we're going to have our engineer, because he is the only one who knows how to pronounce it. The name of the radio show is Ask Brien, and it's part of the Ask Brien network and the Ask Brien website. And I forget how to spell the name. I know it's A-S-K-B-R-I. What's the next letter?
E-N, sir.
But somebody told me it's A-S-K-B-R-I-E-N. Is that true?
It is B-R-I-E-N. Yes, sir.
And why do we emphasize the E?
Because E stands for excellence, sir.
And what else?
Effort.
And last?
Explosive.
It's empathy.
Empathy, that too. Yes, sir.
I have to empathize with the fact that you didn't remember what it was. And so I wasn't too harsh on you. Next time, that's a different story. Well, we're listening to the Ask Brien radio show. And Ask Brien, we have my co-host Alex Grossman, who is on assignment, like Lindsay Mann will be shortly. And let's bring on our co-host, Miss Lindsay
Mann.
Yeah, I was going to trick him because he tried to put the voice down. But
Hey,
the name
Brien.
is Lindsay Mann.
Hello, hello. Thank you
Hello,
for having
hello,
me here.
hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a party today because it is holiday season. Anyway, let's get back. For people that have never, ever listened to the Ask Brien radio show, do you know why people should listen to the Ask Brien radio show?
Because this is the best information that you can be exposing yourself to. That's
And
why.
what kind of information?
The best business information on the planet.
Absolutely. And it's also supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Did you know that too? And the engineer, can you look up that definition, please, on Google? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And don't
Say that 10 times.
Yeah,
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
No, I want to say Ask Brien with an E.
I already messed up. And you already caught me, Brian. I already messed up.
All right, so let's go over the Ask Brien website because we have a very special guest. And I don't even know if I'll be able to joke around him. He's a very serious guy, and he doesn't talk a lot, so I'm going to have to ask a lot of questions when he comes on board. So, audience, if you want to send in questions, Lindsay, you want to ask questions, engineer, we got to get this guy really out of his shell because he's very, very, very quiet guy. So, before I get into that, I want to go over what the Ask Brien website is, and that's askbrien.com. Ask Brien website is basically a site where business owners can ask other business owners questions. So if you own a bowling league in Montana and you own a bowling league in Los Angeles, like near Manchester, I don't know where that is, okay, and you want to have a question, some guy came to the store and he left his shoes. What do I do? Well, yes, the law is different in every state. However, many times you may have a business question that only one bowling alley owner can talk to another bowling alley owner and get the answer. And that's why we have a business community on Ask Brien. But then we have experts, which is why we have an ASKBRI. What, Mr. Engineer?
E-N.
Right. The E stands for expert, also Brien. Now, the experts, if you want to become an expert on the AskBrien.com website, you have an ability to apply. Not everyone will get accepted. I believe the next guest has been accepted. He just hasn't filled out his profile page yet. But he is an expert on the show. And again, we have to teach him how to talk because he really doesn't like to talk. He really likes to keep to himself. He's kind of like a turtle. But before we get into that, to become an expert on the Ask Brien website, you can either have a lot of history, a lot of background. You can have 10,000 hours. Why do we do 10,000 hours? 40 hours a week, 50 hours a year, 1,000 times what? 5. That's 5,000 hours, okay? But actually it's 10 because nobody was listening. 50 times 40 is 2,000. All right, we're back. Remember, you have ADD and your ad. So you do adding up all the calculations, just like last week's tax show.
On my calculator.
Exactly. Or on the app. Anyway, if you become an expert on the Ask Brien website, then you're allowed to post your videos, post your blog posts, post your webinars, which go on a national calendar, which everybody can listen to. Users can then use Google or iCalendar to apply and put those on their site, and they can listen to your webinar. So it's a great place if you want to expose listeners. Is the AskBrien.com website. And without any further ado, and that's ADIEU, right?
Correct.
All right. Without any further ado, we have our guest. His name is Steve, because the engineer's doing that, Steve Shaw. We'll get you back later when you're not paying attention. Steve, are you there?
I am here, Brian.
Wow, those are the first words I've heard. Okay. So he's actually coming out of his shell already. All right, that's great. All right, now he's going to go over a cooking lesson on funnels. So if I have a 3-gallon bottle of tomato sauce and I want to put it into a pot, and the pot is like a regular glass, how am I going to do that? What would I use?
You would use a funnel.
Great. And that's what he's going to talk about. But it's not a cooking show, guys and gals. So go ahead. What is a funnel in the technology sector, which is what I understand you are an expert in?
I'm an expert in everything.
For a guy who doesn't mince words and doesn't talk a lot,
mother.
that's a lot.
Yeah, just ask my mom. I'm an expert in everything.
An expert in everything, but number one in nothing. Okay, go ahead. So can you explain, lots of times I see online ClickFunnels or build yourself a funnel to get some traffic to your website. Well, first of all, I'm clueless. I have no knowledge about websites or anything. And I see Lindsay's like chomping at the bit. She's got a question.
Usually we get to, the background story first. Don't you think we should start there?
I think you should ask him for his background. And
All right.
you don't need to include the FBI background, but go ahead.
So, Steve, can you give us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I started, I guess in probably 98 or 99 was my first professional job as doing a website for the Kern County Library System, which they're not too far from you guys in Bakersfield. So I started developing websites. That's how I got started. Also around the same time, I was doing entrepreneurial work. I was promoting raves, so I was organizing raves.
Oh, raves. I thought you used
Yeah.
a different letter than a V. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the raves, that's probably what got me started with internet marketing. So I was collecting email addresses online back in the 90s so that I could promote these events. And throughout the years, I've applied my skills to business. I've grown, when I was in my early 20s, a $1 million business, retail, e-commerce. That was the first programming project I ever had, and I built an e-commerce shop that was capable of, generating millions of dollars in sales. That was for a skate, snowboard website. That's the kind of person I am. I grew up as a skateboarder. I'm definitely a little bit more alternative than a lot of people.
They have skateboarding in the mountains?
What's that? No, I was in Bakersfield, concrete jungle out there.
Bakersfield, I consider it more like oil and cattle, but go ahead.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty dusty over there, isn't it?
Well, it's very dusty.
Imagine skateboarding, all that dirt getting into the little
like a dust
thing.
bowl.
Yeah.
That
might be why a lot of the people from Oklahoma ended up settling out there, like some of my family members.
Oh, is that where you're from?
Are
you from
maybe
Oklahoma?
They missed the dust. What's that?
Are you from Oklahoma?
I'm not necessarily from there, but I do have family that migrated over during the Dust Bowl.
Because I got about 25 jokes, so I just need to implement them. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's no shortage of Okie jokes.
Well, what's that movie where they say, steers and queers and, I don't see no horns? What was that movie?
I don't know.
Oh, my God. We'll have to go over that one.
It wasn't...
It's called An Officer and a Gentleman, a young guy named Richard Gere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Well, I haven't seen it in a long time either, but I have something called a memory. You know what that is?
That might have happened before I was born. I'm just kidding.
Well, that was when you were riding your horse in Bakersfield, right?
That's right, yeah. Yep.
All right, so you're in...
So I do after I, kind of had my success, I've done ran my independent agencies and provided services for small businesses, generally operating under 1 million, with the intention of helping them reach 1 million in revenue.
What's a typical
So
time
that's
frame?
sort of, what's that?
Typical time frame when you take on these clients and you're expecting to make $1 million in revenue.
Depends on their budget, anywhere from 1.5 to 3 years.
Okay, that's revenue
So
or
it's either
profit?
revenue. Profit on the back end is anywhere between 10 and 30% for most businesses. 30% being more like the Fortune 500 companies with a healthy profit built in.
Steve, do you have any school background on for building websites? How did you learn how to build websites?
And we're not talking preschool, but go ahead.
Yeah, back when I started, there was absolutely no college teaching this stuff. There was only a handful of books. It was the Lydia.com. That's where I actually got my education, was from her. She actually put out, I think at that time there was only 2 books, and I owned those, and that was where I started. But a lot of it was having to teach yourself through trial and error. Took a lot of hard knocks, but
I know a lot about trial part of error because I'm an attorney.
that's right.
As an attorney,
Yeah.
I know trial.
How many hours did it take you to get to the point where you're confident enough to build stuff and go out and get jobs?
Now be careful because this is for the expert qualification part. So she's trying to trick you, but go ahead.
Well,
I'm your lawyer.
probably more. It was probably greater than your number of expert hours. It was, but back then you wouldn't be able to put in 5 years of experience because it was a new thing that had just pretty much just started. I mean, there wasn't that many websites in existence when I started. Even years later, when I had that e-commerce store, there was, I think, only 5 million websites, maybe 10 or 15, I can't remember, but yeah, and we were ranking 50,000 in the nation, so we were actually doing pretty good. So out of millions of websites, we were in the top. We're actually under 50,000 in rank.
So what do you think of the new generation? They just have everything handed to them, or what?
I actually really like the younger generations, the ones that are coming before me. I understand some people's complaints, but I do like them, and I see things from a little bit different perspective and what value and stuff that the younger generations are bringing to the table. So I don't know. I'm fairly open-minded in that regard. I don't have much animosity towards anybody.
What kind of things do they bring to the table? Because I've heard from a lot of business people, especially more
they bring their
traditional,
iPhones.
That they're not, they really they don't. Their work ethic is not the greatest.
But they bring their iPhone to the table.
Yeah,
right.
They do that. I don't know. I've never seen anything. As far as I know, their work ethic is just the same as anybody else. I think what the difference is that people, especially each generation that passes, they live longer. We have more medicine, more things that help us kind of stay young longer, and so I think with a longer lifespan, I think people just aren't hitting the same milestones at the same times. So when my parents were out in the world, 18, you're an adult, you go out and you work your ass off, and by 26, you're already married and miserable maybe. Now, millennials and maybe...
That was very anti-marriage, but go ahead.
Well, that is definitely something the younger generations will agree with me on. They see that 50% divorce rate, and they've had divorced parents and things like that. So
is this part of a funnel that you're building?
What's that?
Is this the funnel that you're building?
No.
Oh, okay.
That is a pretty interesting fact. That's true. Do you feel that the younger generation is more innovative since they are on their phones all the time and they are bombarded with one social media after the next? Do you think that that's a good thing?
Not necessarily, no. I think people have to have some discipline when using social media, but I don't think they realize the repercussions. It's not great to need an external source of anything to make yourself feel good about yourself. That all has to come up from within. So I think in terms of having self-confidence, self-esteem, things like that, a lot of younger people, they rely too much on putting something out there and getting the praise back from their peers.
Yeah.
And I just don't like rooting, your self-confidence in an external source. It's got to come from within.
What are some good ways that somebody younger can boost their self-confidence?
Well, honestly, probably if they're having a confidence issue, and this actually happens with a lot of business owners. I've had to go through this myself. It really will hang you up and hold you back. So believe it or not, I've found the best thing to do is to change the negative self-talk. So, through your experiences as a child, you develop negative self-talk, if you are somebody that's struggling with confidence. And what happens is you have this little voice in your brain saying, hey, you're not good enough. You can't do that, or you're not going to achieve that.
Well, you obviously had that to overcome. So.
Oh, I absolutely did have that. I've been working through that, believe it or not, most of my life. It's called a practice, But subliminal messaging is good for changing negative self-talk, and that's basically just bombarding your brain with positive affirmations, but you get about 50 of those going at the same time, and you can't consciously detect the affirmations. So what ends up happening is subconsciously they sort of get stored in your brain. So the next time you're about to face maybe a challenge that makes you feel uncomfortable or uncertain or insecure, rather than having this thought come up saying that, no, you're really not good enough to do this, that's when out of your subconscious a more positive thought comes up and says, hey, you've got this,
So let's go over.
Hold on, real quick though, because just as much as you need to work on stuff yourself and be confident in yourself, how do you deal? And I'm sure you probably had to deal with this diving in to a field that was not very broad. Did you have any issues with your parents telling you, "Oh, you're not going in the right direction"?
Not necessarily in those words, but that is, yeah. So, especially back in that time, there were certain expectations of how people should behave to be successful in life, which is all just total baloney. But yeah, so there was that, and anything that I got from my parents in that regard just came from a fear base. They want their children to be successful in life. So that's generally where I think a lot of that comes from. If you're getting some negative feedback from your parents, or if they're saying, hey, why don't you go to school and become a doctor, quit messing around with, playing around online or doing whatever you're doing, trying to start a business. Or so sometimes you got to prove it to them. Or if you can't prove it to them, you have to just stand your ground and say, hey, knock this off. This is my life, not yours. I'm going to do it my way.
Right.
And I did have a little bit of that from my parents, but as soon as I kind of just took control over my life and said, hey, this is my show, I'm not going to let anybody else tell me how it's run, then things changed.
All right, so we're going to be coming back, but when we come back, we're going to go over how business owners can create a funnel and why they would want a funnel and a little bit of background. So we're going to spend maybe 5 minutes on a website. So we've got, another minute left? So just give me an idea. If you wanted to create a website for this funnel that you're going to create, and you got about a minute, what kind of website are you going to use? What platform are you going to use?
Well, none of that is actually important if you're building a funnel. There's all kinds of stuff you could use. You can use any kind of online website builder. You can use WordPress. I don't necessarily recommend some of those options, especially WordPress. It can be challenging. But yeah, you've got to tackle the problem. You've got to look at it with fresh eyes, and then look at how you have to solve the problem, and then go out and look for what tools will fit that solution.
All right, so we're going to be coming back, about 4 minutes? Okay.
You talking to me?
Yeah, I know. I was asking the engineer. The guy
But your guess is as good as mine.
Well, he didn't even understand that when he's talking about Ask Brien, with the E also stands for engineer, but he forgot that. You know, he just.
I thought it was for elephant, but hey, what do I know?
No, that's because there's an elephant in the room, and it's not me. All right, we'll be right back.
What if you could wake up without the burden of owing over $10,000 in taxes to the IRS or state? Call the trusted name in tax resolution, Anthem Tax Services, 866-630-2694. With over 30 years of experience in tax preparation and tax law, we are ready to negotiate your tax debt and reach a settlement that makes sense for you.
Anthem saved me nearly $17,000 and settled my debt with the IRS for just $100.
Call 866-630-2694. We are the only company that is confident enough in our services to offer a 100% money-back guarantee if we can't put you in a better position than where you started. All you need to do is call for a free consultation. 866-630-2694. You may even qualify to save up to 99% off your tax debt. Call Anthem today and we'll also take care of your tax case study for free, saving you hundreds of dollars. 866-630-2694. 866-630-2694.
The Oasis treatment at the Ivy Day Spa begins with a gentle exfoliation, then rinsed away in warm showers. You're painted with a soothing aloe vera, shea butter, and coconut oil body mask. Then travel through the warm Hydro Cape chambers. The relaxation chamber completes your Oasis body moisturizing treatment with a pH balancing mist and a warm cup of tea. Feel refreshed, hydrated, and relaxed. Pamper yourself. The Ivy Day Spa, Town Center Drive.
Facey knows life gets busy. Let us go to work for you in the Santa Clarita Valley. We have 34 primary care physicians and 55 specialty doctors in 4 offices. And Facey has easy 24/7 online appointment scheduling for PCPs and PEDS with some extended hour appointments available. We are Facey Medical Group. Let us go to work for you today. For more information or to make an appointment, visit facey.com. That's FACEY.com.
Western Bagel has been serving signature bagels, sandwiches, and hand-roasted coffee since 1947. They're family-owned and operated with 11 locations across SoCal, including Santa Clarita on Bouquet and the Old Kmart Shopping Center. Western Bagel makes their own whipped cream cheese, offering over 10 flavors along with other goodies, pastries, cookies, and muffins. Delicious Western Bagels. Check out their Bagel Brad Deal of the Week, emailed to you every Monday when you register at westernbagel.com.
Mission Valley Bank puts the community in community banking. They strive to be your most trusted bank. Mission Valley Bank is happy to sponsor KHTS Holiday Music. Happy holidays!
This holiday music is brought to you by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center, your community health partner. To learn more about our award-winning care, call 1-888-HEALING or visit us on the web at providence.org.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the Law Office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the Law Office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien Radio Show. And how do you spell Ask Brien, Mr. Engineer?
B-R-I-E-N. R-I-E-N.
And what does the E stand for?
Empathy, effort, excellence, and the fourth one being engineer.
It was exciting, but that's okay.
Effort. It should be E for effort on that one, too.
Well, we're back, and we have the healthiest guest we've ever had. And not only the healthiest, but the one who talks the least. So, without any further ado, A-D-I-E-U. I love that letter. I-E-U. I get all my vowels. No, but all those vowels I'm getting. Come on. You're getting 4 vowels. What other words can you get? 5-letter word, and you're getting 4 vowels? That's pretty damn good. That's for excellence. Anyway, I do want to go over some serious stuff. We don't have too much time left. We have our guest, Steve Shaw, and our guest, Lindsay Mann. I don't know why she uses that voice, but sometimes she's good. Anyway, Steve, you were talking about websites, and it's important to have a website, but the value of the website is not as important as being able to get traffic to your website. And you had a couple ideas, one of which was to go to the supermarket, buy a whole big thing of tomato sauce, and pour it into a regular glass, something called, I think you used the word funnel. Not sure why you'd want to use one of those on your website. Tomato sauce all over the place, but go ahead.
Okay, so sales funnels, they didn't exist in digital marketing until, I don't know, maybe mid-2000s. I mean, people might have been doing it, but not calling it that. So a sales funnel is called a sales funnel because it sort of represents a funnel. At the top of the funnel, it's wider. At the bottom, it's more narrow. And it's sort of an abstract concept. It's sort of, it basically means that, let's say you have your website, you send traffic to it. The traffic is at the top of the funnel. So that's the widest part of the funnel. And not everybody that visits your website is going to go through far enough in that funnel to come out the bottom. But what they're trying to represent is that, you know, it starts bigger at the top and gets more and more narrow as you go, and the result is a sale at the bottom of the funnel. So a sale at the bottom of the funnel is called a conversion, and that just means that the visitor, the number of visitors to sales is your conversion rate. So when a visitor comes to your site, they're just a visitor. As they go through this funnel in different stages of the buying process, at the bottom end, they become a buyer, and that's called a conversion. So the funnel describes basically a sales process, and a lot of times what you want to do is maybe mimic, and it's sort of you may want to mimic a real-life sales process. Essentially what you're doing is trying to recreate that real-life sales process online and sort of unattended in a way, because people go to your website, they're not talking to you. Your website has to represent that sales process. So having a website alone is like having a car without gas. It's great, but it doesn't really go anywhere, right?
Not if you have an electric car, but go ahead.
Well, that's true. Yeah, well, maybe you don't have a charge. So a website is really important, but it's not the only thing that's important. You've got to send visitors to your website. And then you've got to figure out how to get them to buy your product. And so when you apply the, sales process or the sales funnel thinking, that helps you sort of design the assets that you need to convert people to buyers. And it's a pretty complicated thing. So at the top of the funnel, you've got awareness. So that means you've done some marketing and you've sent, or maybe word of mouth, but at any rate, you've sent some people to your website, or you've just reached out to them. Maybe they haven't even gotten to your website. Maybe they've gotten a postcard in the mail. It could be any kind of marketing material. But it starts there with awareness. So they have a problem they're looking to solve with a product or a solution. They don't know about you. You hit them with your marketing. Now they're at the top of the funnel in the awareness stage. They're aware of you. The next thing you've got to do is get them interested, in continuing to read about your service or your product. And then as they go through their buying process and they hit the decision stage, where they might be reviewing your website and your value propositions and the things that you're offering versus your competitors. And then the next stage after that, they convert to a sale ideally. Now, that doesn't happen for everybody. That conversion rate is that metric that tells you how many of your visitors are converting to buyers. The reason that conversion rate is important is because when you build a sales funnel, it's like building a cash machine. When you have these things dialed in, you know a conversion rate. You know how many people you need to send to your site to make one sale. So let's say, just to make the math easy, let's say your conversion rate's 1%. You know that for every 100 people you send to your website, you're going to make a sale. So once you get to that stage, you know your sales funnel is tuned up, then you can step on the gas, put more advertising dollar behind what you're doing, and you can increase and scale your products and your business that way. So it's a pretty complicated approach, but it also gives you the best chance of success, especially when you're competing against people that have much, much more money and have much more of a hold on the internet, you know, so you're competing against those people.
So it's like an equalizer.
It's kind of like an equalizer. They're doing it too, unfortunately, and, you know, so that you still have that. But it's sort of the thing that gives you an opportunity, and maybe a better opportunity than just, say, putting up a website and trying to get word of mouth, you know, send people there that way. There's some psychology involved in this, so there's a lot of sales psychology. So as people are moving through the funnel and hitting different stages in their buying process, you might be applying different sorts of psychology. One of the things that you see all the time is the principle of scarcity. So you might see, you know, a promotion online or in your email where it says, you know, this is a limited time offer. So what somebody is doing, what a marketer is doing when they try and hit you with a limited time offer, they're using the principle of scarcity to motivate you to act fast.
Is that different than a sense of urgency?
Urgency is actually the same type of thing. It's just a different motivator.
Fear is one of the better sales motivations. Is that correct?
Well, fear of missing out is another one of the psychological principles that people use to incentivize you to purchase something.
What about fear of sitting next to someone that had garlic?
Well, that really only applies to vampires.
Well,
you know.
Or
so,
remember,
I
have very good genes, so it could be.
Or aliens.
Yeah.
Zapper. Sorry about that.
But
you know,
all kinds of different things that marketers use. Even things like social proof, where you're using testimonials. Other types of social proof might be the number of followers you have on your social networking sites. That builds up credibility. And you've got to look at all of these things in comparison to your competitors, too, to see what they're doing and see how you can maybe find ways to do something better.
So how would you, if you had a brand new company, we're the Widget Corporation. The Widget Corporation is based in Newhall, California. And you have this company, and you've got the website up, and now you're competing against Walmart, Amazon, and Target, 3 very tiny companies, okay?
Yeah.
And you want to sell the same product that they're selling at their store. So you got the website up. Go for it, Mr. Shaw. You're on the clock.
Well, in truth, you're not going to be able to compete with people that big. Well, I don't know. I guess I can't totally say that because I was in that position, and we were competing with people that had millions of dollars versus our $80,000 a year budget. But even an $80,000 a year marketing budget is more than most small business owners can afford when they're starting out. So this is just sort of, you're not necessarily going to be competing with the Walmarts, but you're competing with everybody on the way to that journey of being that size. So you've got to elbow your way through all of those people first. So that's why you're going to get a sales funnel.
So what are you going to do first? You're going to, let's go through the steps of building a funnel. You've got the website up. Obviously, the first one is awareness, which is brand building, I guess. So you've got the name, and the name of your company is Sureitis, Shawittis. So you got the Sureitis Corporation, and you're trying to sell whistles.
Well, see, this is where it gets pretty complicated because there's no single step to building this. Now, there are formulas at this point. You know, the ideas here are mature enough that people have come up with recipes and formulas for doing this. A very simple funnel might be, you know, a Facebook ad, and then you're giving somebody something away for free, like something of value, a guide or tips, or, you know, something that helps people grow their business.
How about a whistle song book?
A what?
A whistle song book, since you're selling whistles.
Okay, so let's say you've got that song book, and they want to learn how to be a better whistler with your whistles. So yeah, that's the idea, is that they'll download that book, and then where you can actually have an opportunity to convert them is on the thank you page.
So do you want a two-step approach then, typically?
Two-step is like the minimum you can do. I mean, you could do a one-step in certain cases, but really a one-step only works on certain types of products and usually under a certain price point. E-commerce products, you know, if it's something somebody's already looking for, you can do one-step. But one-step is not very effective overall. Basically, the shortest path is a two-step approach. And that's not always a sales funnel. That's more of a direct marketing approach. Sometimes that could be a postcard leading to a sale. Sometimes there are 3 steps, postcard leading to free information, you know, hey, you know, return this for our free report, that kind of thing. It could be an online ad with the same principle or idea. But you've got to look at your unique sales process. Like, your customers are going to go through their sales process, and they may be doing it differently for each different type of industry and service and product. So it helps if you've already got a business in the real world, so you already understand the real-world sales process. You understand the types of questions people ask. You understand their fears so that you can address those. You understand the competition so that when they say, well, so-and-so does this, you can address that. And when you build your funnel, you've got to take all these things into account and address them online a lot of times because you don't have the capacity to speak to everybody on a one-to-one basis. So your website has to represent all of these things. So there are funnels. There's like things like the webinar funnel, where, you know, you advertise a webinar that teaches somebody, for example, how to build a funnel. And these things are kind of funny. Marketers use these because really what they're doing is showing you how damn hard it is. When you realize how hard it is to do something, then you're probably more interested in buying the service that they're selling you. So they offer these free webinars, but really the idea is they're showing you how hard it is and how you maybe want to hire it out and leave it to a professional, and you'll get better results a lot of times that way.
You mean like hire you?
But you could hire me depending on my availability. But yeah, you want to find a marketer, somebody that, you know, can help you with this. It's not necessarily an easy thing to do, and it's certainly not easy to do well. There's a lot of things for conversions that you have to know, like from the color of a button that says buy now. You know, if it's red, you're not going to get as many sales as if it's green. You know, so that's an important thing to know. And there's just thousands of little details like that, from words you use in your headline to how fast your website loads. You know, there's so many little things that are important like that. But there are these different formulas that you can use pre-made formulas. Russell Brunson is the kind of the first one to really put those formulas down to papers, as far as I can remember. But they're not going to work for everybody, and they're not going to work exactly as designed. You've got to have enough experience to look at that and say, well, my business is a little bit different in this regard, so I have to tweak this formula a little bit.
And so how are you going to tweak the formula?
Well, you have to look at your real-life sales process a lot of times, and if you don't have a real-life sales process, you're going to have to guess, and you're going to have to make some mistakes, and you're going to have to measure the results of what you're doing and then keep improving it. So basically, it's trial and error. So you might put a different color on that button, for example, and you test it, and it's called split testing. So basically, 50% of your audience will see the red button, 50% of your audience will see the green button. Your metric, your conversion rate metric, is what tells you how well you're doing this. So if between the 50% of the people that saw the red button, if maybe 10% of them made a purchase versus 50% of the people who saw the green button, maybe 30% of them made a purchase. Well, now you know, okay, red button doesn't work. Let's get rid of the red button. And you just sort of have to go through that process with all kinds of stuff, from your web page to your web copy. One of the more important aspects of building a funnel is understanding how to be persuasive, how to use some of these elements of psychology to incentivize people to purchase something. So it's quite involved in that regard. But a lot of times it's a trial and error if you don't have an existing business that fits into one of those formulas. There's just no real easy way to do it.
Steve, what is your website address?
Buckhorn.marketing. So BUCKHORN.marketing.
Okay, we're going to be taking a break shortly, and then we're going to be right back. And Lindsay is salivating with questions, so I better let her ask some questions, or I'm going to be
Sounds
beat up.
good to me.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, guys and gals, we're back in 2.
Do you ever listen, but you're not really paying attention? Sort of like what you're doing to me right now. This is Alex Urbina, your advanced life coach specialist. One of the most frequent questions I hear is, what is a life coach? Well, tune in every Friday at noon to learn the value of having a coach and listen to a live coaching session on the radio. Right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch, full menu, and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
Hey, we're trying to breathe down here. Oh, not again. Don't people know that when they dump their used oil improperly, it makes its way to the Santa Clara River? Oh, you should tell them how they can recycle it.
Well, it's simple. Go to greensantaclarita.com to find the oil recycling location nearest you. And take your used motor oil and filters there to be recycled. It's free.
You can even find where to pick up a free oil change kit to make it easier.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien Radio Show. And how do you spell that? Mr. Engineer.
B-R-I-E-N.
Wow, you're getting very good at that E. I really like the way you did it that time. Okay, we're back with Steve Shore.
Jeez, Brad, we could see your lips just rattling over here.
Now you did it. Lindsay Mann. We're back. All right. So, Steve, you were finishing up on the funnels. Lindsay had a ton of questions. I don't even know if we're going to be able to finish it today, but let's go quickly. So, a very important thing. What have we missed out on the funnel? What do we need to know if you're trying to create a funnel and you're a business owner? And you got about 2 minutes, and then that's it. Then Lindsay's taking over.
Well, I mean, there's really not enough time to go into what we need to know to create a funnel. Really what you want to do is find somebody that has that experience. I do not recommend doing this yourself. This is probably one of those things that takes longer than 5 years to get good at. It takes a lot of experience.
Well, then you're not going to be an expert on Ask Brien because, we have that 5-year rule. But if you can't make it in 5, I don't know.
No, I'm saying it takes longer than 5 years.
Yeah, so you're not an expert.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't hit my milestone at the 5-year mark, so I'm
Absolutely.
slower.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
Steve, where could someone find a good funnel, a good
that's
place?
That's what I was just about to mention. Yeah. That's challenging. So honestly,
what about Buckhorn Marketing?
Well, Buckhorn Marketing is a great place to go for a funnel.
and you can you can make great spaghetti because the string is very good. Go ahead.
Here's the challenge with the funnels is that most people operating under probably $300,000 will not have the budget to find somebody with enough experience to build a good funnel. So I would recommend maybe looking at something like ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson's product ClickFunnels, where he's basically put funnel recipes online and has a funnel builder. I also have my own product that does this, but I don't have, it's in a soft launch. It's actually in stealth mode. I haven't really launched it yet. But solostudio.io is also a funnel builder, and it has some predefined funnels where you can essentially build a funnel in 5 minutes or less.
That's a long time.
So that is probably one of the cheaper solutions. What was that, Peter?
I said 5 minutes is a very long time. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would do.
It's a lot longer than what most people want to wait for these days. They want to snap their fingers and have it be instant. But
well, we're in the impulsive generation, aren't we?
Yeah, certainly. We're used to getting things pretty fast.
And Lindsay's stopping at the bit to ask some more questions, so you better finish up quick.
So I just want to go a little bit.
Let him go.
So what I would do in terms of finding somebody that's available to build a funnel is I would look at software companies that offer similar services, but they're not actually offering the service that you want to purchase. I would look to them for referrals, maybe. They may have some good people that know what they're doing.
Give one example.
But the challenge is, like Buffer is it's a social network, a social media posting app, and all they do is sell their service that helps you post your social media to all of the different social media accounts that you have. But they put out a lot of really good information online, about how to do that. So I'm not saying they're the people to talk to for sales funnels. I'm just saying, you've got to find a company like that aligns with what you're doing, but isn't necessarily offering that service. Because when they're offering the service, obviously there's bias there, so they're going to tell you, hey, yeah, it's great, we're great, just hire us. So sometimes that doesn't work, and right now in the marketing landscape, I'd say about 85% of the people you might hire really aren't worth the money you're paying them. There's not a lot of experts with real-world experience. What ends up happening is a lot of times these so-called experts are just reading articles online and spouting it back out with no experience.
But not no one like you, right?
What's that?
Not you.
No, I wouldn't do that. But
of course,
it's out there a lot.
You have to, but how do you know? That's the question. Okay, Lindsay always says you don't know what you don't know. I'm borrowing her line.
Yeah.
That's the question. So I'm hiring this person to do a funnel. I don't know.
Yeah, so that is the problem. You don't know a lot of times. It's really difficult to know. it's really difficult to evaluate somebody's skills when you don't have the same skills yourself. So one of the things I've toyed around with for small business owners is offering a service where I vet the companies that they're looking at or the freelancers that they're looking at hiring. I think that's really the only way to know is to have somebody with the skills to evaluate the other person. But the other thing that you can do is look for testimonials, ask for referrals of people that you can actually reach out and talk to, look and see if they have any case studies, advertising real metrics and real numbers. And beyond that, find a friend or somebody with experience in that field that maybe you could ask them questions or run things past them. But unfortunately, you'll probably get burned once or twice, with marketers and even website designers and things like that. It's pretty difficult to know who's who if you don't have those skills.
How do you get those skills? And you got 1 minute.
Educate yourself. Go online. There's Udemy courses are a pretty good place to start. YouTube, of course. Really, I mean, I would just say use the internet to educate yourself. You could take a course in the real world. Sometimes people offer those. They teach them in more metropolitan areas.
All right, and how much time do we have left? We have about 10 seconds, so go. This is Steve Shaw, Buckhorn Marketing, BUCKHORN.MARKETHING. You're listening to the Ask Brien Network with Lindsay Mann and Stephen Shaw. Have a great day. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy
Bye.
holidays.
Bye.